Can this platform finally replace Claude Code? I've been playing around with the Qwen CLI after they provided free requests for their new Qwen 3.6 model. In this video, I'll be sharing my raw thoughts after using it for a few hours and help you decide whether it is a fit for you or not. The Qwen CLI was just released last night, and what caught my eye was the 1,000 free requests per day. I've been a heavy user of the Open Router free models, which also gives you 1,000 requests per day, but the number of models that are available right now have decreased quite a bit. So I'm hoping that Qwen Code can replace some of these capabilities while giving me some free inference. Of course, this 1,000 requests per day may not be something that lasts, and I just want to maximize its usage so that I avoid hitting the rate limits for my paid subscriptions. I've been playing around with it quite a bit last night, and here are my thoughts of this platform so far. Qwen CLI is just another terminal-based interface. If you use Claude Code or Codex on the terminal, the experience is more or less the same. And I've seen some of the comments online saying how it's just a fork of Gemini CLI, and they look almost exactly the same. Again, to me, the functionalities do not really matter. I just want to ensure that it's able to carry out all the tasks that I want it to. So after using the init command, just like any other CLI, it creates a Qwen.md. So it's somewhat similar to the Claude.md or the agents.md, depending on which CLI that you're used to. My entire system is heavily dependent on skills. I built out all of these workflows based on how I work, and I just want to ensure that all of these can be called and are functional within Qwen Code. So what happened is that it looked inside the Claude skills rather than the .agent skills. Again, I shifted away from the Claude Code extension towards Open Code, and the way that Open Code invokes all of these skills is through the .agents file within your repo. So I did mention here that it doesn't exist in the skills directory, and then I had to say that it is actually inside the .agents folder. So after looking through the entire repo again, it finally realized that the .agents folder is the one that has the ultimate source of truth of all of the different skills that I've created. I didn't know that I have 161 of them, but now it understands and has that full context that whenever I want to run any of these / commands, you use the .agents folder instead of the .claude. So this was my stats after running the agent for a while. You can see that it will show you the number of requests here, but unlike Open Router, you won't be able to see the total requests that you share per day, especially if you're using different chats. So my advice to you, if you want to really keep track on the number of requests that you're using before you hit the 1,000 requests per day, is to start a new chat each time, and it's easier for you to keep track of how many requests you have remaining. Another portion that intrigued me quite a bit was the cron job, because you could use Telegram from your phone, you could access the Qwen Code from your phone, but likely you have to run it on an always-on system so that you'll still be able to execute all of the commands that you send via Telegram. And of course, there's still the cron jobs as well. This is somewhat similar to OpenClaw if you have used it before, where it generates a cron job but within your session itself. So I started to ask Qwen about more of these features, and it did mention that it's actually not a true cron job. Basically, you can run a cron job or a loop within your own session that you have on, and they'll just continuously run the entire skill all of the time. So I do find that this is quite useful for myself. If I want to run some of these commands every day, I'll just keep the window running and then it will automatically perform the action for me. While for the Telegram portion, I'm still not too sure. I asked Qwen to go and explore the source code just to see where is this integration. And as of now, it mentioned that it is still a community feature. I have not really went to explore it as much yet, but I'll update again if I'm finally able to get it done. So these are all of my first thoughts while using Qwen Code, and I'll be showing you how you can set it up for yourself too. So this is the Qwen website, and you're able to install the CLI inside of either Linux, Mac OS, or Windows just by copying this command, go into your terminal, and then you can paste it inside. And then once you press enter, I've already installed it, so you'll be able to launch straight away. So what happens if you launch it and you're inside of your home directory? It did mention this, but I would suggest going inside of your project directory so that the permissions are more limited. So how I will do this? As a non-coder, this is my repo, and I will copy the file directory. There's Option Command C if you're on a Mac. And then let me just Control C here to exit. And then I'll just type cd and I paste the directory. And then now I'll type Qwen. So the way that I'm using Qwen code may not be similar to how you're doing it if you're very heavy on the vibe coding and just building out a lot of different apps. For myself, I've built out this Signal OS, which is my personal operating system. It helps to automate all of the workflows that I have for content creation and just managing my entire life. And that's why my entire repo is very focused on agent skills, because all I need to do is run a / command and I'm able to carry out a certain workflow that I've created for the AI. So here you can see that the authentication method, there are 3 different ways that you can do it. It's possible for you to bring your own API key as well. I already have a video about model APIs, but I would recommend using open code instead of Qwen Coder if you want to use other models, because the main reason why I'm using Qwen is for the 1,000 free requests per day. So this will let me just run an OAuth. I have to sign in to my Qwen account that was directly linked to the CLI. Once that's done, you have already created your account, you're signed into it. You can start using it exactly like how you have used Claude or Codex. So if you ever do want to switch between all of the different sign-in options, you can just type the /auth and then it will just show you like all of these different commands that you can use. But the one I'm looking for is the skills. These are all of the different skills that I have. There's quite a bit of them. And let me just show you the YouTube transcript one that I usually do when I find a YouTube video that I want to take note of and just refer to it later. So in this example, I'm just going to use Denko's latest video just for the fun of it. I'll just copy it and then just paste it inside here. But let me just select my skill first, which is the YouTube learnings. And then I'll paste my YouTube video and let it go. So I had some issues with the Qwen code, basically based on my networks. And then let me just paste the Denko video inside. So now you can see you run through the entire workflow as per my skill. And when you're just starting out, you ask you for all of these confirmation, similar to Claude if you have used that before. And then you just start running everything as per the skill that I've already created. And that's why I believe it is so important for you to build out these skills, these workflows that are easily understood by any LM. So you're able to switch between any of these models at any time and still get the same result. So the very first part of this entire skill is to run it via the YTDLP library. So because this is my new computer, I didn't have anything inside of it. So that's why it's starting to install all of the required components first before it actually runs the skill. So all of this at the start, if you're using it, will likely cost you a lot more requests just to build everything up. But then once you have everything up and running, the LM has more context about what the entire skill is and how the entire repo works, then the number of requests per day will be much lower in the future. So now let's just wait a while for it to run the entire skill and then give me the result afterwards. Okay, so this took a while, about 3 minutes and 9 seconds, and it managed to generate all of the files that I wanted to have inside, which is the transcript and ultimately the summary. So the summary, depending on the model, the output can be good or bad. So let's just check it out. So I'll go over to my Obsidian workspace where it basically has all of these different files and folders that I'm able to just read through it much more easily. So let me just copy this and open it up. So it's right here inside of my file, and then there are both of these files here. So the transcript works perfectly fine. I mean, there's nothing much that they can go wrong with it because it's just extracting the transcript from it. But now let's see the summary. It's actually not too bad. I do like it. So this is actually based on a prompt that I copied from Denko. So what happens when I run through this YouTube learning skill is that you just extract the transcript and then you use Denko prompt that runs through this expert content summarizer, and then you generate out this summary. So I tried this prompt with other models, especially like the lower tier ones like Flash or Haiku, and the kind of summaries that they produce is pretty bad. So it is not comprehensive enough and it doesn't capture a lot of nuances inside of the video itself, especially something that's very long. So I do like this. It actually shows and it has a very comprehensive summary from it. So I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So far, with just this one task that I've gone through, I've really burned 25 requests. But basically it's because if you look, so it doesn't really show you, but then it was asking for a lot of different steps first. And it needed to understand like what the skill is, it needed to read through the skill and all of those. So that's why we have already hit 25 here. But again, I'm quite happy with it because you're using Qwen 3.6 and you get a very high quality model and you're able to run all of these skills that you have built up. So for me, I'll use Qwen to execute all of my tasks that I want to do it for free. And now that I know the summary is quite comprehensive, I can actually try using it out for other writing tasks that requires more thinking, like outlining my articles. So this has just been a brief overview of the Qwen CLI. Honestly, I'm quite happy with it. The outputs and the installation is very easy. And of course, the 1,000 free requests is a huge bonus if you don't want to hit your rate limits very easily with your other model subscriptions. Of course, these 1,000 requests per day won't last for long. I'm guessing at most maybe 2 weeks from now. But once you've built out all of these different workflows, you just need something to execute. I believe Qwen 3.6 inside of Claude Code is good enough for this use case. I've been very obsessed about building out this portable AI system where you can build once and switch anytime between all of these models where your data doesn't get locked in and you still get similar outputs because of your context and the skills that you have already built out. The subsidized era of AI will be ending very soon, and all of these free models that we get may not last forever. So that's why I believe it's very important to build out this portable AI system. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can do that for yourself, check out this video that appears on the screen next.